Welcome back to another Railpac videos presentation. While we normally try to document ALCO locomotives working in revenue freight service, on a trip to New York State, we couldn't pass up the opportunity to visit the New York and Lake Erie Railroad. Upon arrival to the railroad's base of operations in Gowanda, New York, we find their two FPAs drifting back downgrade to the station. The night before had brought fresh snow, and this move was to clear snow from the rails as the New York and Lake Erie has a pretty significant hill to climb leaving town. The New York and Lake Erie was formed in 1978 to operate a portion of former Erie Railroad, spun off from Conrail, from Gowanda to Waterboro, New York, where it connected with the Southern Tier Line. The track from Cherry Hill to Waterboro, however, has been out of service for some years, and the Buffalo Southern at Gowanda is the only outside connection. The New York and Lake Erie is, of course, an ALCO and MLW operator. Currently active locomotives are a MLW FPA-2U, a MLW FPA-4, an ALCO S1, and delivered after our visit a MLW M636, former Western New York and Pennsylvania number 636. Also on property is a former Norfolk and Western High Hood C425, which is currently out of service, and several parts units. Although freight business on the line has dried up, the railroad has a healthy excursion business and will follow the passenger excursion train out of Gowanda. We'll see the train in several locations as it climbs the grade out of the Cattaraugus Valley. At South Dayton, the train is spotted at the depot, and the power cut away to run around the consist. The New York and Lake Erie was the setting for a couple 1980s movies. Most notably, the railroad scenes in trains, planes, and automobiles were filmed using NY and LE locations and equipment, and the 1983 film The Natural, starring Robert Redford, featured the tracks and depot in South Dayton, along with some other parts of the village. The railroad's two FPA units both were originally built for the Canadian National and then worked for VIA Rail in Canada before coming to the New York and Lake Erie. While 6764 is a FPA-4 built in 1958, 6758 is actually a FPA-2 built in 1955. The unit was upgraded in 1958 to FPA-4 specifications and received a new 1,800 horsepower 12-cylinder 251B prime mover. While the crew works to run around its train, we'll take a moment to get an inside look at the cab and engine room on these Montreal-built passenger cab units. It's hard to beat the methodical chant of an idling ALCO 251.
Are you in the head end or are you in back? I'm occupying a 58 at the moment. Right here. Man, when you come out, can you please bring me that green duct tape?
Our visit in March of 2024 coincided with Easter weekend, and we watch as the Easter Bunny greets passengers as they board the train after the short layover in South Dayton. The New York and Lake Erie operates several special event trains throughout the year, and more information can be found at nylerailroad.com. With passengers on board, the train departs for the return trip to Gowanda. At the town of Dayton, the railroad's main track passes underneath another former Erie railroad line from Dunkirk to Salamanca, New York. A connection exists to this line at Dayton, and the N&W operated a portion of the line until 2010 to serve customers in Cattaraugus. South of Cattaraugus was torn out for the Pat McGee Trail in the early 2000s. Upon arrival in Gowanda, the crew preforms another runaround move to reposition the power. The train will make a second departure for South Dayton later in the afternoon. While the FPA units return to the train, we spy NYLE 1013 in the yard. This high-hood ALCO C425 was featured in the movie, Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, and is the only remaining N&W high-hood C425. This unit is currently out of service and has been the victim of attempted copper theft. An employee did say, however, the railroad is attempting to make repairs. With the railroad's permission, we'll take a little closer look at some of the equipment in the yard at Gowanda. Railpac Videos would like to extend a special thanks to the New York and Lake Erie Railroad and its fantastic employees. Thank you to everyone who watches the videos until the end. We hope that you've enjoyed this look at the New York and Lake Erie Railroad. If you enjoy ALCO and shortline action, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Check out the Railpac Videos playlist for more in-depth looks at interesting operations from around the country. And if you enjoy automotive content, there's plenty to be had on the Soko Olds 455 YouTube channel too.